Raymond Smith Jr.
Good morning, Stella. That's an honor, Arizona.
Okay.
Yes, H Chair. This is Delegate Amber Kennesaw-Crotty calling in. Thank you.
Jimmy Yellow Hair. Jimmy Yellow Hair. Elmer P. Begay.
I'm here in the window up.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Begay. Amber Kennesaw-Crotty.
I apologize, Shada. This is Delegate Amber Kennesaw-Crotty. I'm calling in from Sheep Springs, Navajo Nation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Shadeja. Nathaniel Brown.
Yacht Esha 2. This is Delegate Brown calling in from Donahoe, Arizona. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Shache. Chairman, we have 5 members present.
Good evening, for that roll call. Thank you. Good morning, committee members. We're getting started here. We'll go through our agenda as far as calling the meeting work session to order, our indication, and so forth. Before we jump on the WebEx, and we'll get some information on the WebEx side. With this, we do have 5 members. Let's move forward with our invocation. Shana, Del Elmer Begay, so there's no Habehan, so Bonnet, Nikandia, Deep in Ibigay.
Hello?
Hello? Shanda? Nikandia,
I'll be there. Okay. Additional. I'm gonna go here down to the legend down. Then all the rest of the people that are here. See, those is in the happy table. But there is no this. No sound, I don't need car. You have to fix the code. That's so loud, that's so zoom the code. The delivery the code, I did. So there's the code by hard at the code. I use cars in the code. In the code is. Now, the code. The code is one how to be in the code. I don't think chance is the code. That is called. Because I had the company in the code. I do a hashing position, the code. So there's a code is that in the code. I don't call begin the house on the code. I don't call to the I don't call system the code. That's the hardest in the code. I just contact the company Jacob and now on the code. The company, you know, the conquer the con. Person, yard, and then we call here. They never did any give a person, then we call the no son, because you didn't call her, the idol, I don't know, Kai, who then we. It's all the person, not now, how just call it back, you know, the back who think. So I don't know, complicated test. I don't know, it's your own, but you call her just the conquer. I think the thing with other she's the with the call. A credit company, Yana, or take the equipment a home. A home is now it's not the corner, it's not the hood at the corner fair. I don't do the conquer she don't heat up and get the whole on the corner and the home. The jar and done a place of yard and then get the corner, but not the whole dish in the corner. I don't get a company, Yana, take the look at the next course, not the hood net for the corner. We have to hit our corner for what's in the corner. The corner is she don't heat on the corner. To get the net for Swiss Army. In the corner, your property in the budget now to the when you come. You see that part of the corner. I don't let me go the corner out of the corner. And then you need to come in, and then it's really come. Then not another car. They, I don't know, they could, عشان تقول إيه إيكم إيه نيجي نهود إيكم عند هسبي ناس عند كونده إيه دي فأجي إيكم اللي إيش نامي اللي إيكم اللي إيه نهود بتقابلكم اللي يحنا أبدا نتاكس نات الناس يدين حتى أكون اللي يحنا أبدا لأن جنب كونده إيكم بين خابي في كونده وهنا جميع كونده أنا بيجي بكونده إيه عشان تقول إيه كونده إيه نجمع إيكم كده يعني اللي كونده يكون الآن بنجش نريدو أدكون طون دمشق لا أدكون ما نسلاد بالكون تنجم بتاعها لا سن بتاعها لا بالكون وأدكون إيكون هي نان تريدو بيس نان تريدو بالكون أدكون نان وصيت بالكون بيجي كون عشان تقول إيكون باليا حاجة بأي جن كاتشز بندي تأث بالكون نيكيا سأنجي بيجيدو نعم سأندوكو أدو بيادي داكو نتاكس نيجيدو أدو نحطأ أدو بإن أدو نسيتكو أدو بسيطني إندو دسني كدزن نهيجين أدو بإيكون هزان نيجي كودة إذا من كودة سيخون سبيسلاج كودة نجنو أهزتو محمدي تلك أهدي كودة نتاكس كنا نسبندو دسني هني كنا نسبندو دسني أدو بكودة نشنتاكس نيك دانا تحمل زابو بسلكودة نهني كنا بحمل زابو موكال كنا بحمل زابو ليدو كون خاصشن يكيشنا خيروكو بديه نتاكس نعطانا دي نسي بنيدو دي دانجون نفادي دي تيجي لاريكون بنيكون بيه مودا إيكون إيكون وي بندات بسو بحي تخالو فناني بان ديجي جهد أتوزين ديجي زورو بسن سوى شكو Hoje nasceu.
Hello.
Hello?
A question of that.
Oh,
Christina. Christina. We got kind of signal here. Da كده شنو كده أمر بيجي كونجنا قتدين زني أكيد له تخخ أتزها هذا بنتجي كده ناسو يا with our agenda recognizing guests and city officials. You have our staff with us, Peggy and Ramona. Kristen, our Chief Legislative Counsel. Kristen Lowe is online with us. I heard Marty Ashley earlier with the Navajo Tax Commission. We did have, I don't know if we still have Department of Justice on the line.
Yes, Chair. This is Adra from DOJ, and I believe
okay, they're still on. Good. They're still online with us, and then also we do have Mr. Bial, who's been patiently waiting for us since 9 o'clock. Somewhere time changes to 10 o'clock. So with this, any other delegates on the line?
Yella is on the line. I listened to the prayer. Okay,
with that, let's move forward with our agenda. Peggy, can you read the agenda for us for today's meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Good morning, members of the Budget and Finance Committee. This is the proposed agenda for the Budget and Finance Committee of the Navajo Nation Council, August 11, 2020. It's a work session via teleconference. Presiding Jamie Henio, Chairperson, Raymond Smith Jr., Vice Chairperson, Window Rock Navajo Nation. 1, call the work session to order. The roll call, the invocation. 2, recognize guests and visiting officials. 3, review and adopt the agenda. 4, review and adopt the journal. None. 5, receive reports. A, FY 2021 budget process presented by Dominic Bial, Director, Office of Management and Budget. B, FY 2019 Navajo Nation audit presented by Ryan Lukemeyer. I'm sorry. CPA with Brandon J. Valentini, Moss Adams. 6:06 closes the work session. Written announcements, adjournment. The next regular meeting is August 18, 2020. Mr. Chair.
Okay, with that, again, enough for that reading. I'm trying to look for the agenda here on my email today, but when did you send out the agenda, Peggy?
Chair, do you want me to just email it out to the committee again? Because it was posted yesterday morning, I believe. Let's see, today's Tuesday. So Sunday, I think I sent it out Sunday, but I'm not really sure what time they posted it.
Okay. Yeah, if you could send it again.
All right, I'll send it out to everybody.
All right, committee members, this is a work session, so our agenda has been read. Any questions or comments on the agenda?
I don't have a comment, anything, my brother. I have my agenda right here. I hope everything's the same as is. Work session for today, August 11, 10 a.m. So,
Ms. Sheena, any other questions or comments? And Christina, let's move forward with our agenda as read with no changes. And so with that, though, let's see here. Jonathan, Doug Yiller here. What's the item on the agenda?
Okay, hold on. Okay, the item on the agenda, what I have is under a number 3 or number 4, review and adopted a journal none, and number 5, receiving report FY21 budget process presented by Dominic B. Yao, Director of OMB. Under the same 5A and B, a Navajo 2019 Navajo Nation audit presented by Ryan Lu, Kimaria, CPA, and Brendan J. Valentini, and Moss Adams. The closing work session but card written announcements. It's kind of very small agenda to the audit.
I think again, let's try to let's move forward with our receiving report, Siggy. We don't have no journals and so receiving reports FY 2021 budget process presented by Dominic Bial, our director for the Office of Management and Budget. And so with this, Mr. Bial, if you would lead us in this discussion. Mr. Bial, Dominic Bial.
Oh, yes, okay. I was on mute. Members of the committee and all the other listeners this morning, first of all, good morning to everybody. To start with, last Friday during the Budget and Finance Committee leadership discussion involving the budget, there was discussion about how to conduct the oversight budget hearings, how to go about reducing the paperwork, the documents, and so forth. So there was some ideas made, and I'm ready to talk about those a little bit more, because what the committee asked is that if OMB would be prepared to speak more about it today. So that's why I'm now on the line. First of all, just to give you an update, which is the reason for this particular discussion. As we all know, the started very late, but nevertheless, and it's all because of the pandemic. The government closed down, only essential offices being open, and essential workers and so forth. So that's why it got off to a late start. But nevertheless, leadership, meaning the branch chiefs, the BNF committee, decided to go forward with the annual budget process in the hopes that even though time is short, we would be able to do it. So, therefore, it requires all of us, including OMB, to carefully monitor the timing of all the budget activities and so on, and be prepared to modify it as we go, as might need be, as necessary. So, as of yesterday, about half of the budget have been submitted, and we're hopeful that the rest of them will be in this morning, certainly by the end of the day. And therefore, the submittal of the budgets are easily a week behind. They should have been. If we were staying on schedule, they would have been done and submitted by August 3rd, which was last Monday of last week. But the budget legislation, the BIM, and then the planning allocations from the branch chiefs all occurred late as well. So with that, we've been thinking, well, how can we curb the process a little bit in order to catch up, in order to expedite everything. So what we're going to try to do our best, our darndest from OMB, as well as the various branches, divisions, and programs, is have all of the budgets completed by close of business on the 13th. That's this Thursday. And thereafter, the branch budget hearings can start. They could start on the 14th, which is just Friday, and go through the weekend as needed, as necessary. The 14th, of course, is Code Talkers Day. Now, again, if we were on schedule, they would have started yesterday and be done no later than the 13th, which would have been followed by the dropping of the legislation for the Oversight Committee. But because everything is delayed, the branch chiefs haven't started their hearings yet. And as I'm saying, we're hoping that they can do it from August 14th through the 16th. And so I sent an email out to that effect yesterday to the branch chiefs, to Chairman Henio and Vice Chairman Smith, making that recommendation. So, if we were on schedule, the dropping of the Oversight Committee budget legislation would have been on August 14th. But you just heard me explain that the branch budget hearings won't even be done by then. They'll probably just be starting. So, last Friday, as one way to expedite the process, at the Oversight Committee budget hearing level is the one idea is just have the various divisions and programs and branches provide budget forms 1 and 2. Budget form 1, of course, is the top page, which is a snapshot of the entire budget for that particular program and business unit. And it would show the comparison from fiscal year 20 to 21 and the pluses and minuses. Budget Form 2, of course, is the statement of goals and objectives for that particular business unit or program. And it's broken out by quarters. That essentially would be the scope of work. However, that leads up to another matter. Is again, I sent an email out yesterday asking the question for the Oversight Committee hearings, which are scheduled to start on August 20th and go through the 25th. Do they need legislation first to get underway, to get started? Because remember, the first part of the Oversight Committee discussions on the budget are hearings. The hearings, as you might recall in years past, sometimes there's only 1 or 2 committee members conducting the hearings. In other words, there's no quorum. So it's a dialogue between the respective branches, divisions, programs with their oversight committee. Now, when the oversight committee is ready to act formally on the legislation, would be towards the end of their schedule budget sessions, and that's when the resolution would be available, and all the resolutions are in standard format. There's exhibits A, B, C, D, which are all summary information. So the question that I had is that, does the Oversight Committee budget hearings need the legislation at the start? Or towards the end when they're ready to act on the legislation itself? That's one of the questions. Because the way I'm describing this, the Oversight Committee legislations probably won't be dropped until around the 18th, approximately. And if you count the 5 days afterwards, so it's moving everything back. So those are some of the questions. And the question about the Oversight Committee legislation, I believe Ms. Lowell has a response to that. So, Mr. Chair, committee members, that's the overview of where we are and how we're running behind, but there's ways to still accommodate it, hopefully, so that we can stay on schedule, particularly meeting the Oversight Committee budget hearings. Which would be starting next week. Mr. Chair, that's the summary at the moment. some of these ideas and suggestions. I know, Chairman Hino, you were mentioning that per the request of Vice Chair Smith, that you wanted to have a dialogue with the other standing committee chairs and vice chairs over these same matters to see if some consensus could be reached on the budget forms and how it's going to be conducted and so forth. So again, Mr. Chair, that's where we are at the moment, and I raised some ideas and some questions on this process. So that's the summary at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bial, with that presentation and kind of, well, see what questions committee members. Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Bial?
Good morning, to the chair. Thank you, my brother, Mr. Bial. Thank you very much for bringing us a important issues that we need to go by. Mr. Bial, I know you do a chart. You do this type of organization when this is going to happen. You talk about it. I wonder if you have one of these and put it in place, a step-by-step organization or chart like that. Flow chart, I think we need that one, brother. Maybe two like that, you're concerned, so we can look at that one based on your report, Mr. Bial. Good time, Lara. Thanks, Jonah. Yeah, we look at the comparison. No, based on your flow chart. Remember you do that, Mr. Bial? Ask with the I'll go back on mute, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Hi, this is Kristen. I'm just able to sign into this. I thought we were in the other one. Can someone tell me what item agenda that we are on?
Yes, we are on our agenda on the first item in the reports with Mr. Bial, and he just got done giving us his part of the report, and we're asking questions. There's an issue that came up dealing with that report, and so we'll need your assistance in that area. Mr. Bial, if you would restate the issues that we would have to work with on with Chief Legislative Counsel.
Well, okay, Chairman Hino, Ms. Lowell, I was explaining. Let me do a quick summary again.
I read your email. I did read your email. So if that helps summarize.
Okay. I explained to all of the listeners here, to the committee, that as of yesterday, only about 50% of the budgets are in. So, we're late, we're behind more than ever. But we're going to try to catch up by the 13th, which is this Thursday. And thereafter, then the branch budget hearings can start from the 14th through the 16th. And we all recognize the 14th is a holiday, Kodaku's Day. And if we had been on schedule, the branch chiefs would have been in their hearing phase as of yesterday through the 13th. So that's where the question that I raised to you, that you referred to, the email, about when to drop the legislation. Is it required up front before the hearings start? Or could it be done once the oversight committees are ready to act, or they need a quorum and so on. So that's one of the questions, Ms. Lowell.
So, Ms. Lowell, now would you
Okay.
help us out here?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. So, looking at the calendar, the oversight committee hearings do in fact require legislation because the oversight committees, HES, LOC, BNF, RDC, are acting in their capacity as a legislative body. So just like any other legislation, it needs to be in front of the committee, it needs to be out of the 5-day comment period, and it needs to have the proper exhibits. So we can't just drop a legislation without exhibits. And that again goes back to the idea of accountability and transparency that we've been especially emphasizing with regard to the BIM and other budget procedures. And then the other comment with regard to that deals with the idea of quorum. So the committee will need a quorum during the oversight and the comprehensive budget hearing. Mr. Chair, members of the committee.
Okay, thank you for that information, Kristen. And so, committee members, are there any questions or comments regarding what's being presented to us?
Oh, yeah, that's traditional Delegate Yell here. Oh, on the budget hearing from oversight, there has to be a quorum. If no quorum, there's been no activities. And also the legislation attachment by attorneys, yes, they will need exhibit to catch up with it now. To let out what the the critique should be out on these issues. A flood chart like high land jungle the saying so even in not a quay with the never in jungle should be out. Your point, you need to do a float chart. What's the best way we could go with this budget based on your examinations on just a comprehensive 2020 budget process. Maybe you should do something like that, Mr. P.R. brother. I don't want to give you any other job duties. This maybe help us and all in our nation. Brother, Mr. B.R. Thank you, Silisha and Ani, the Vice Chair, my colleagues. That's not final. Yeah, thank you very much. It's what we need, I guess, so we can make things easier to go by and easier for the attorneys too. Yeah, brother. Thank you. Goodbye, unmute.
Thank you, Nanda, for your comments. Committee members, there's also at 10:33 a.m. there was an email sent by Dana Barbas titled "Budget Hearing Process Presentation at Nabkea Kitlaka." And in the body of her email, if you have read it, it says that the OLC is receiving numerous inquiries from delegates concerning the year's budget process and how to conduct oversight budget hearings. For the sake of consistent expediency, I have recommended to Speaker Damon that a report training on the budget oversight hearing process be presented at this week's Nabkea meeting in Macau. So, recommendation to Speaker did not include a recommendation on who should be doing the report and training in Macau. So that's something that we as Budget and Finance Committee members might have to think about too also, as far as being at Nabkea Committee. Any other comments or questions, committee members? My comment would be so with this whole process, and only 34% or less than 50% of the budget's coming in from the programs, and so how far back are we going to be let's say they all come in next week, or the end of this week by Friday, all the budgets come in, and that's only 3 days from now. How far would it push us back, Dominic, on the budget calendar, on the schedule? Because I overheard you say that the budget oversight hearing should begin on Thursday. And it seems like, reading this email, it seems like there's a lot of confusion with the committees on how to conduct it, and we have to start from square one with some of the committees, it looks like, if I'm reading it right, Mr. Bial.
Well, Mr. Chair, if I understood Ms. Lowell correctly, she's saying that the legislation needs to be before the committee at the time they start their budget hearings. So if that's the case, then like I'm describing, the branch hearings won't be done until possibly this coming Sunday. So the legislations would be dropped the following Monday or Tuesday next week. The 17th or 18th. So then you count the 5 days. They, in effect, won't be ready for the oversight budget hearing until around August 24th. So that's 4 days behind the set schedule. So that's how many days we would be pushing the process back. And from there on, the process just gets compressed even a bit more. As you know, the way we have it, it goes all the way to the final day of the fiscal year. So it appears, Mr. Chair, what I'm saying is that we would need to push everything back roughly 4 days at a minimum.
Mr. Chair, this is Peggy. Can I ask a question? Or just make a statement?
Go ahead.
Okay, so if Dominic is correct about that being pushed back 4 days, then Budget and Finance wouldn't start their budget hearing until either the 27th or 28th, right? 3 days if it's, then we would start on the 27th and 28th, right? Is that what you're saying, if I'm understanding? Because ordinarily we would have had our budget hearings, oversight ones, for the 20th and 21st. But if we're being set back 4 days, we would start maybe on the 28th. or if everything's ready, 27th. 3 days. Is that how you're looking at it, Dominic?
Dominic?
Yes. In a reply to Ms. Nakai, the Oversight Committee budget hearings currently are scheduled to start on August 20th. But because it appears that soon as the legislations can be dropped, it would be around the 17th or 18th that the Oversight Committee budget hearing then, after the 5-day period, probably won't be able to start until the following week, which is August 24th. So anytime during that week is not tight. Is when BNF and the other committees could be scheduled. That's what I'm saying is that instead of starting on the 20th, the soonest they could start would be the 24th, perhaps the 25th. So that's what I mean. It's being pushed back about 4, maybe 5 days.
Okay. Thank you, Dominic, for that insight on your what we need to do, and it really pushes us back again as far as getting the legislation drafted. And I'm sure our Chief Legislative Counsel's office will be cringing right now because they'll be working overtime and getting the legislations out for us. And so we need to, be aware of it, the Budget and Finance Committee members, that we already took action on to start on the 20th, and we might have to modify that on the 18th, the action that we took. Piggy, is there a way to get a count of which budgets from the legislative branch have been Tom Platero has received? I believe on the legislative branch we have Auditor General's Office, Labor Commission, the Human Rights Commission, Election Office. What else do we have too that's under? No elections not under oversight. Human Rights, Labor Commission, Auditor General, and I believe that's it. There might be more, but is there a way you could work on that, Peggy? You see where everybody's budgets are at, so we can get legislation.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I just emailed you the legislative branch's budget status. It appears that as of the 7th, the Council and the Budget and Finance Committee's budgets were submitted to OMB. Do you see that email that I just barely sent you? It's on Excel. And then Government Development through Legislative Council, Commission, Utah Commission, Legislative Services was on the 6th, but election, Ethics and Rules, all those were on the 10th of August. The Election Office, Board of Election Supervisors, the 2020 Election Black Mesa Review Board, there's really been, looks like those haven't been submitted yet. And then the Labor Commission hasn't been submitted yet, and the Office of the Speaker, theirs hasn't been submitted yet. And this is from Tom Platero as of yesterday. The Auditor General, they submitted theirs on the 10th. Navajo Hopi Land Commission on the 7th. And then the Commission on Emergency Management, they haven't submitted theirs yet. Or they did on the, I'm not sure if they did on the, they just submitted their budget to Legislative Services on the 10th. Eastern Land Commission on the 10th, they went to OMB. Office of Eastern Land Commission went to OMB on the 10th. Do you see that email I sent you? Human Rights Commission hasn't submitted theirs yet.
Oh, I'm looking at it.
Then, okay, and then all the standing committees were on the 7th, and then the LDAs were on the 6th, and the Navajo Enterprise Fund on the 6th. So, majority of the branches legislations have been submitted, and they got their Form 3. So all those were back from DPM, most of them that required to have staff on them. So
okay.
that's the Excel sheet on it showing the status of the branches budgets as of yesterday, the 10th of August. Okay.
Okay, thank you. This is on the legislative branch side. Now,
right.
who would have the information for the executive branch? And
Chairman Inyo, this is Dominic Bial.
go ahead.
The first comment would be on the legislative branch budget submittal. I think I'm looking at the same spreadsheet, and it shows that as of last night, there was a total of
Can you tell the Dominic to speak louder?
Dominic, if you would speak a little louder.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excuse me, there's a clicking sound. Somebody needs to mute their phone, please.
Okay, the first thing I was saying for the legislative branch, as of last night, there's a grand total of 6 budgets not submitted. Everything else has been submitted. Now, on the executive side, there's a number of budgets outstanding from the executive offices group, and about 3 budgets from Office of the Controller. The Division of Community Development's budgets are not in yet. The Department of Dene Education, about a little bit over half of the budgets are in. Division of Natural Resources, which is one of the larger divisions budget-wise, their budgets are not in. And then Division of Social Services are missing several budgets as well. So I know that Chief of Staff Chaco has been pushing these various divisions to get their budgets in. So altogether, Chairman Inyo, that's why I'm saying there's about 50% submittal as of yesterday. And that's why we're discussing moving things back on the budget schedule. Mr. Chair.
Committee members, any comments on the subject that we're talking about?
Chair and Vice Chair and my colleagues, that was my concern. How many other programs have submitted their budget? They're on the on time with their budget. About this in there. recommendation work close with our advisory, with Peggy Nakai, or our town, like the Chair, 1 o'clock, you should also then there just a gym, toward us, I went haul some water from Gallup all the way to Black Mesa. Yeah, just about couldn't assist that is in on the whole chat. So, Vice Chair, my colleague.
Mayor, I have a question.
Go ahead, Peggy.
Dominic, you stated about the executive branch and the legislative branch. What about the judicial branch? How are their budgets?
Judicial is really good. Theirs were already submitted last week. They've already been reviewed and checked and corrected where necessary. They're ready to go.
Okay.
Chair, just the other
I guess they're serious about getting their money. That's why they're on top of everything. And I believe Chief Justice runs a tight ship on that side. That's why too. Also, that's good to hear. Doug Yellow here.
Oh, so I hope that Mr. Bial don't mind to request to give us those department has submitted their budget. Can you submit that report to Chair, and we share the information or send it to Peggy Nakai? Mr. Bial, I request to you, Mr. Chair, I hope you honor this for me so we can what we add on it. Those are other departments have to complete their budget. It just consultations to the Chair.
Then,
put on the worksheet.
Did you get that, Mr. Bial?
Yes.
Okay. I think as we move along day by day in the week, there'll be more coming in. More of the budgets up to Friday. We'll see what the landscape looks like as far as the percentage-wise for the budgets that came in. But committee members, though, we still need to look at the recommendation of moving the budget hearings back because of the amount of budgets that are still not coming in. So that's one of the recommendations that we need to think about on Tuesday when we have our regular BNF committee meeting. Is there any other comments or questions, committee members?
Chair, this is Yell here. If we can go with Mr. Bial's recommendation, so we just go with him. So in case what happened and whatever happened with the 2021, so we can rely on Bial on anything happen. I'll go with Mr. Bial's recommendation to the chair, the vice chair. And since my colleagues on Budget Finance Committee, I'll go with Mr. Bial's statement, and then our advisor now should also work with Mr. Bial too, and so we can put on our calendar. Thank you, Chair Stiller.
Okay, yeah, Doug Yell here for your concurrence with Mr. Bial. With that, I'm not hearing no comments, so I think we'll move forward to our other presentation. Is that all you have to say, Mr. Bial?
That's not my dog.
That was my dog. I'm sorry. Mr. Chair, may I say something too?
Go ahead.
Okay, this is going to be regarding the oversight hearings and going forward with the comprehensive hearing. The advisors from the other standing committees were texting me the other day, and they were asking about binders. Remember, when we have oversight hearings, we're, in person, and usually the programs bring binders and whatever, to show to the committee. their budgets and such. Some present, using overhead PowerPoints and that sort of thing. How are we going to approach this just because we're doing everything by teleconferencing? I know that the previous meetings, DOJ suggested that maybe we could use the WebEx. And the next presentation with Moss Adams, that's going to be video conferencing. So you'll get a taste of how that goes. And so I guess that would be a precursor to what we could potentially do for the budget hearings. But going forward, do we need to scan all the documents and send it out to the committee? How is that going to be handled? What is OMB's thoughts on that going forward with the oversight hearings? Once you get all the budgets, then is your office planning to scan those and then send them out to each advisor? How is that going to be handled? And then as well as I guess when we get the legislation going through the 5-day review, and at the end when it's ready for presentation to the committee, we'll have to scan everything as well again. So we need coordination on all that. That's what I wanted to ask about, Chair.
Okay, thank you for that, Peggy. I believe that, the public health order is still in effect with prohibiting mass gathering. So that will not allow any in-person meetings to happen in the near future. So more likely we'll still be sitting like this here. And as far as binders, we have to resort to electronic copies. And as committee members, we need to be really aware as far as being in tune with our location, where we have good internet signal, so we can access our email right then and there, so we can be effective in asking our questions or making comments about the budgets that are being presented to us. As far as binders, I believe certain delegates would like a binder. For me, I'd be reluctant to get a binder because it goes through so many hands. And have those binders been sanitized before they're delivered? Because we'd be over here touching it and, of course, licking our fingers so we can move the pages forward and so forth. So that's something that we also have to think about too, also. Mr. Vial, there was a question from Peggy regarding from your operations as far as when the budgets are moving. Will your office be scanning all of them and sending them out, or what's the process you plan on taking?
Well, Mr. Chair, replying to Ms. Nakai's question, I think what we would do is once we give the go-ahead to a particular set of budgets, let's say the Division of Education or Department of Education, just to use them as an example. Once their budgets, the various budgets within their department are reviewed, checked, corrected, and determined to be ready to go, meaning they're true, accurate, and correct, and they're ready to be considered at the Oversight Committee level, then we would instruct the department, DODE in this case, go ahead and prepare your copies for your oversight. So each division would do the same thing and branch. But that gets to the next question, which is again the notion of just going with budget forms 1 and 2. See, if you did it like that, it would cut all of the budget documents that you have to look at and see probably by at least 70%. So the budget form 1 and 2 would allow that. Mr. Chair.
Kashina, thank you for that.
Mr.
Back
Chair.
to the committee. Go ahead.
Chair.
Go ahead.
So today, since we're not equal behind schedule, I don't know how much difficult I'll give this duty to my brother Bial. As budget as they come, we should do it and find that one. And just don't have to worry about who are not bringing their budget. We need to bring those budget put in the fund, no matter what. Maybe there'll be 1, 2, 3 binders will be all together. The first binder, just put it together and put those as they come. Let's hear those budget right away. And we do that instead of waiting for somebody else. Bring the sheep in 100 miles away. Let my brother, Mr. Elmer Begay at the Hobie Country. I have to wait for that one. So let's do it as budget as they come. Put it together, Mr. Bial. These are going to be another new avenue. Bial, how much difficulty are you going to have this on here? Chair, what they are saying, oh yeah, Chair, they can't find it because instead of waiting for the other department, over part of it. The net of the engine on that has 1868 every part of it, over that pounds. So let's work that way, just to what they are saying. Otherwise, we're going to come up with the continuing resolution 2021. Let's work this out and take care of for our people. My colleague be in the committee. And go back on you.
Okay, that, I guess, also be mindful, committee members, continuing resolution, and found detail, yeah. So that's, right now, at the present time, is sort of, just, null and void on the continuing resolution list. There's a movement to override it. Idea, but it's up to each delegate to decide if they want to do that. Delegate Elmer Begay?
I wanted to know that, I know that from during the budget hearings, if we still can go into budget and finance committee room. John, internet, I would say, where we use the chapters in the, I use the chapter that, when it starts using, people start using it, school that start it's really slow, and sometimes it drops next. So I want to know that we can use BNF room, is it going to be available? One question.
Mr. Bial, were you able to get the question from Delegate Elmer Begay?
Not clearly.
Oh, yeah. Elmer Begay, you were cutting out we could barely hear you when you were asking that question.
Okay, I just wanted to know that we use during the budget hearing, we start using the teleconference. I think we need to go to find a better signal. We use the chapter, but school starting, so it's very limited. I wanted to know that the budget and finance committee room is going to be available to use it. That was my question.
Okay, I hear you now. We would have to work with Speaker's Damon's office, because I remember they closed the whole building to delegates, and we have to go through certain processes before we go into the buildings. I think the only one that we have access to, as far as our delegates have seen in there, is in the steno, and the signal's good in the steno. But I'll check with Speaker Damon regarding access to BNF committee room, because that has a good signal in there too. So I'll work on that, Shanadal. Any other questions or comments, committee members?
Also,
Chair.
My brother.
maybe the law and order committee.
Law and order, you have, Lolier, you have, the finance staff down there. They set up their whole, camp down there. So there's no access to LOC. Cause we have, I believe Virginia, Antonio, and, who else is on there? Davina, and another staff. There's 3 of them. Those 3 ladies that are usually in finance. They're down there right now.
Okay.
And they have everything set up. Is it Delegate Yellowhair that was wanting to talk?
Oh yes, hello. Citizens on the could you Mr. Bial, some of these departments, the process their budget already in. They should just put in the binder and hear those budgets as they come, instead waiting for the other program to put up the binders all together. You have to have the knowledge department so they can catch up with their work too. To the Mr. Bial, Chair. Can we request a Wi-Fi hotspot for being a committee? No, just tell it, so maybe Bial, and go back on mute now. Yeah.
Delegate Yellowhair. That's easy to do this on but we have to do is legislation about the intelligence when it comes before the budget oversight hearing. They would have to have a legislation, but that's also we could approve those legislations as they come along. So, I see kind of the legislation has to be drafted in on there to move them back a little bit. As far as hotspot, I think we've tried that before, but as long as the BNF committee access, I'll ask Speaker Damon about that too also. So if there's committee members, any other questions or comments? But Mr. Biel, back to Delegate Yellowhair's question regarding presentation. First come, first serve, Nahala. As they come along, just put it before the committees and moving forward. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, Mr. Chair, the way the Oversight Committee hearings go, and it's based on their committee legislations, they would do it by the judicial branch as a group, legislative branch as a group, and then for executive branch, it would be the various divisions individually. So that's how it would be constructed. So for example, Division of Public Safety, the whole division needs to be ready before it goes to committee. We wouldn't be able to do it, and we wouldn't recommend that. They only do like law enforcement, Chinle one day, and then, Shiprock law enforcement, 2 days later. They need to be considered together at the same time within the division level. That's how I would answer, Mr. Chair.
Chair.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, Shanada, Delegate Yellowhair.
Oh, Chair, I just thought about that. We always do it by the groups. They'd always mention that he's on there. Get it in there, no one. So that by groups, I understand, Mr. Bial. Thank you very much. Yeah, Chair.
Katrina.
Chair,
Chair,
I have a question.
Go ahead, Peggy.
This is Peggy. Just as a point of clarification, I guess, from Elmer's question regarding use of the Budget and Finance Committee room. Is that just pertaining to having delegates going into the conference room just to access the internet so that they could participate on the telephone call or the teleconference? Is that what he means, or is he thinking about having the committee convene in the Budget and Finance Committee room? That's what I was wondering about, because you were indicating that the public health order is still in effect. And if BNF was to meet in there, we have more than 10 people that would be present. Just making that comment. I'm just wanting to get it clarified.
I believe it goes both ways. It could either be delegates wanting to access a meeting room with good Wi-Fi, or it's a nice come as my committee to go over this whole process. I think that's what he was talking about. But back to you, Shanata, Delegate Elmer Begay. On your request to use the BNF committee room.
Okay, exactly. How the way you express it to me, that how can we use it is that I know that there's health orders. We can go in person, or we can use the Wi-Fi or the Wi-Fi from there. So both ways we want to know how we can use that.
Gushina. That committee members, any other comments or questions?
Chairman, Delegate Crowdy with a question.
Go ahead, Chuba.
Thank you, Chairman, and committee members. Thank you, Mr. Bial, for your update. I that the President Nez his veto message that was dated August 7th, which was 4 days ago, regarding the continuing resolution, and on the first paragraph, it does say that they are on schedule. They are on the schedule passed by this committee. And so I don't know, Mr. Bial, is President Nez being briefed and updated on the challenges that you're reporting to this committee regarding the budget process? I'm concerned this committee, we passed the BIM, and now it sounds like we may have to move on without the Budget 3 form that's created by the Executive Program Department of Human Resources. So it appears that there are some challenges with the executive programs that are not being acknowledged. Can you give me an idea or a sense of the President and that is the plan to solve these issues? At this point, I don't think it should be legislative or the delegates who have to come up with a solution, because our solution was voting for the continuing resolution, and that was a vote of 22 in favor and 0 opposed. So I would like to know and get those questions answered. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, for that question. Back to you, Mr. Bial.
Mr. Chair, responding to Delegate Crotty, we've been in daily dialogue now with the President's office. And the main person we've been speaking with is Chief of Staff Chaco. So we would rely on him to give relevant updates as need be to the President and Vice President. So that's how we're doing this. That's how we're working on it. Now, Delegate Crotty refers to the President's veto message letter, and in his letter, Delegate Crowley referenced or was looking at the first paragraph, and there's wording in there that reads that the Navajo Nation government we're at a point in time where we find it absolutely necessary to enact a partial budget to carry us into the new fiscal year. Then we would agree a resolution is needed for that purpose. So with that statement, the President acknowledges there's a chance that the regular budgeting process that we're discussing at the moment might not work out or might get delayed to the point that we have to take an alternative action, which would be a partial budget, is the word he uses, or the continuing resolution again. But that remains to be determined. In prior discussions with the BNF committee, you'll remember that I mentioned going back a month, 6 weeks ago and so forth, that if the decision is to go forward with the regular budgeting process, which we did, and then we find that it's not working, it's going to take too much time that we don't have, etc., then that's the time to do a continuing resolution, or to adopt a budget that would deal with simply using the 20 base figures and then carrying that forward into 21. Until such time, the overall budget is done, whether that be at the end of the first quarter or second quarter. Mr. Chair, that's my response.
Yoshina, thank you for that response. Committee members, any other questions or comments?
Chair, this is Peggy.
Go ahead.
If I could, would this be another agenda item for next week? To see where we're at?
Yes, and we might have to take action to move the budget oversight hearings back. I was recommended by Mr. Bial from the 20th to possibly the 24th.
Would that require a legislative action?
It would be a new business, I believe, because we already took action to start it on the 20th with this new information that we're getting today. The recommendation is to possibly move it back because we still have to get the legislations moving, and so that will take time because of the 5-day comment period. So his through his foresight, he's thinking that legislation might not be dropped until the 18th, which is the day of our committee meeting. Then the 5 days will start then, and so it would come out to the 24th. Is when we could start doing the entertaining the legislations at our oversight committee meetings. So that's why he's recommending to move it back. So that would be an agenda item for Tuesday.
Chair, this is a question to Kristen. Would that require an amendment to the budget schedule, to the calendar? And then my other part of that question would be, would it be beneficial to invite the president to sit with the committee and discuss the schedule?
That would be that's a good idea. We need to do that. Pursue it if you would, Peggy. Send out an invitation to the OPVP's office. We need to have a dialogue with the president and his staff regarding what we're talking about now. Kristen?
We don't need to amend the BIM legislation. We can just revise and communicate amendments. Not amendments. That's a formal legal term of art. Updates and changes to the oversight and comprehensive budget and finance hearing. So we don't need legislation now, Mr. Chair.
Okay, that's regarding the budget schedule?
Correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions, committee members? Okay, I am not hearing any, so we have to move forward. We do have Moss Adams waiting for us on the WebEx site, so let's wrap this up, committee members.
Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Chair, Shaslanahati, quite a big on from executive session edition, the PINA committee area. So, our advisory and also our attorneys to discuss this one item that's very important. Executive session issues before Mr. Musa coming, the auditor, even executive session issues 30 minutes or less than 25 minutes as a viewer.
We're in a work session, so we can't really do any special action. Like executive session. It's a regular meeting, but yeah, maybe Tuesday go. When we're moving out of the ED, so we can make it part of our agenda.
Mr. Chair, this is Peggy. If you remember back to legislation, I think it was 133-20, we had that in executive session. During our work session on that legislation, we had an executive session. So I believe that during a work session, you can do that.
We need to move forward so we can have it on Tuesday. Because it takes action. And the reason why we did the 133 was because we already had, hold on here. Well, it's up to the committee. Let me do that. Let me go through. It's up to the committee. If they wish to go behind closed doors to discuss an item that is presented by Mr. Shantanta Delegate Yellowhair, then we could listen to that. So Shantanta Delegate Yellowhair, are you still wishing to? Do you still want to go in executive session?
Well, based on my call, that they whatever what they want to do today or next Tuesday, they need to either way. If they want to do it today or Tuesday, and today Friday, she thinks that it's on. She's not unhashing that this because the American, they took me Sunday, double me. Okay, what to respect. Let's see what happened, my brother, chair. If they want to do it now or Tuesday, it's fine. Thank you, Chair.
This request to give, does it pertain to the next agenda item?
It pertains both days. It pertains to audit.
Oh, the audit. Okay. And so you have information for the committee to present in if we do go into executive session?
Yeah.
Oh. With this committee members, I'll go by consensus. Vice Chair Smith with us?
Naturally. Oh.
Mr. Delegate Yellowhair, requesting that the committee go into executive session mode for about 20 minutes before we get to the next report. Are you in consensus with that request?
So, Abigail, let's go into executive session, see what that's all about. It might be something that's important. So,
Shema, Delegate Amber Crotty.
Thank you, Chair. Is it personnel issues or is it a court-related issue?
I believe it's personnel.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Yes, 20 minutes. Thank you.
20 minutes, Augustine. Shinanta, Delegate Nathaniel Brown.
Yes, sir. I'll vote green.
Augustine. Shinanta, Delegate Elmer PBK.
For 20 minutes, Chair. How about
Augustine. I believe the committee is in consensus for 20 minutes. So, Peggy, are you able to get a secure line for the delegates, committee members to call back in on a number?
I'm working on it. I'm trying to see if Mel can get us a line with DOJ.
Augustine. With that, let's wrap this up then. And then once we wrap it up, we'll go into executive session mode to get some information from Shinanta Delegate Giller here. And then once we come back out, then we'll come back into the meeting mode. And then we'll go over to the WebEx side of for the presentation. So, Mr. Biel, thank you for your everything that you're doing for the committee, and also for the Navajo Nation when it comes to making sure that the budgets are passed in a timely manner, and how we could move forward with this. And from my point of view as chair, I really do appreciate you and your staff and the work that you do for all the committees and also for the Navajo Nation and the programs to keep the government moving and not get stalled because of a budget issue. So just want to say that, Mr. Biel and your staff. So, Ms. Kirk, are you still on the line?
Yes, we're still on the line.
Okay. There's a question that came up earlier regarding the Moss Adams presentation. And there's I got the PowerPoint slides. And so as far as getting on the WebEx game, the committee will be on they're invited, but it says for BNF committee only, Baka. And so does that exclude our staff and our legislative council and also Department of Justice? And I believe Mr. Marty actually was asking if he could have access to it. So if you could kind of give us some information on who's privy to this information.
It should be fine for advisors and so forth. This is a presentation that happens every year. Normally we do a work session so we can talk about, answer any questions and so forth. So I believe we have sent out some of the WebEx links to everyone. I also want to stress the PowerPoint presentation is fine to send out, but I would caution that the financial statement is still in draft form. They're not issued yet. So if anybody has them, just keep that in mind. They're not final financial statements. It will get issued, I would say, next week. So until the official one gets out, I wouldn't be really disseminating it too much. That's that draft financial statement. But it should be fine to get the advisors, your DOJ, Legislative Council, your staff in on the call. That should be okay. And Mr. Ashley's fine because he usually keeps up on the nation's financial status anyways.
Okay, if you would send him that link to that WebEx link, and that way he can join in.
Chair, also the OMB wanted to be involved in that discussion as well. Dominic and
okay. Okay, so did you get that, Ms. Kirk?
Yeah. I guess we'll send out the link. I'll have Brent do it. We have I think we've been sending out to DOJ, OLC. I want Marty and who else?
Dominic Deal.
Dominic.
And also the delegated Helen Brown for the Auditor General, I think. I'm not sure if she's on this call.
Okay, we'll send it out.
Okay, Shana, thank you for that. Committee members, we do have a number that's emailed to us. And so with that, let's, it's 11:43. So let's get on this call up to a little past 12 o'clock. And then...
okay, so we all need to hang up, right?
So
we need to hang up and then call back in.
Dial this number because it has a PIN number associated with it now. And so hang up, dial back in with the PIN number, and then let's continue with that business, and then get out, and then come back into meeting mode, and then we'll get on the WebEx side. So up to you, committee members, let's all log off.
This call
and
may
then
be
with the PIN
recorded
number
or
in the back,
transcribed.
this phone you can access it through that way too, Vice Chair Smith.
That's her. This is Delegate Begay.
Delegate Begay.
Now I'm calling back in.
Diga. We have Vice Chair Smith. I believe we have Delegate Begay. Do we have Delegate Yellow Hair?
Yeah.
Do we have Shema, Delegate Amber Crotty? And do we have Delegate Nathaniel Brown? Hey, Ramona, are you still on the line here? Peggy, are you still on the line?
Yes, Chair, I'm here.
Okay, Shana, I think if you can contact Ramona to have her stay on this line. We are done with the first part of our agenda, which is the report. Now we're going to the Moss Adams, the audit presentation. And I'm on the WebEx right now. I'm
here,
looking at. Okay, if you would stay on the line for Delegate Crowdy and Delegate Brown for them to come back in. Let them know that we have joined the. We are moving to join the WebEx meeting for the audit presentation. And committee members, any questions on the WebEx presentations besides what the Vice Chair was bringing up?
Yeah, Chair, is this a PowerPoint that is going to be used by audit presentations? And there's a PowerPoint in here. Audit
the one with the green background.
On that line. So there is a audit timeline and impact with COVID-19 and a response to COVID-19.
But you need to get on the WebEx, though, the WebEx call.
Okay,
go to your email, Iggy, and then there's an email that was sent out by let's see here, where am I at? It's stated at 10:31 a.m. at Yala from Perlin Turk, and it says Navajo Nation BFC audit presentation video conference on your email. Then scroll down. You just see Ryan Luton Mayor Baka. If you scroll down, you'll see join meeting Makagi. You just click on that link on your phone, and it'll take you to that meeting. If you can't access it through your phone, or there's a phone number right below that join meeting link, Nana. You can call in on that phone number. If you can, are you guys, everybody following me right now? Peggy, go ahead again.
There's also email from Ryan as well. Mr. Lukemeyer, I'm not sure how to say his last name, but anyway, from Moss Adams, they also sent an email, so it could be either Perlene or Ryan.
Ryan Lukenbach, Texas.
This is about page 44 in here. This is the national statement of analysis of Wakaya. There's page 44 altogether.
No,
not that.
That's the document, the draft audit report. And then there's one other financial document for Kao. So 2 emails I sent to you from the controller's office, but this other one is different. It has a calendar on it or a bell next to it. So AD Gishi, that's the one that you need to click on.
Does it say presentation to the Navajo Nation Budget Finance Committee, Moss Adams?
Yes.
Okay, I found that, but I can't find no Ryan.
It's below if you scroll down.
You scroll down?
You'll see from Ryan McCott. Then you'll scroll down some more, and there's a, it says join meeting, but kind of gives you an internet link.
Introductions, Moss Adams, second, third page, fourth page.
Okay, I think you're on the wrong one.
He's on the handout.
Okay. Yeah, go to a different email. Go back down to your email and look for Perlene Kirk or Ryan.
Attention, there's no Ryan or Perlene Kirk on mine. Oh, shot was lucky there.
Look at 10:31 a.m. Peggy, resend that email to everybody but me. The link.
The link. Let's see. It says there's an access code to that meeting number. I'm not sure how to send this to you guys, but let me figure it out.
Just forward it. Just forward the email from Perlene to Vice Chair.
I got something, Chair. 12:26 p.m. Somebody said something. Ryan, take him here.
Oh, click on, check that one.
It isn't.
And there's a access number that you need to put in once you join the meeting. So I'm going to call in now. Karen, unless you
join meeting, yeah. Okay, I found it. So join meeting. Oh, snap! It's not.
What's that?
Attendo,
Okay, go back out. And let me give you
there's
number.
just that mobile device.
What time was this at?
Collect
Does everybody have access to pen and paper?
Nope.
Let me give you the phone number to call in on. It's 844-621-3956. Your PIN number is 645-965-329 #.
Can you repeat that number?
The telephone number is 844-621-3956. Your PIN number for that is 645-965-329 #.
Got it. Thank you.
But if you're able to join by WebEx, you'll be able to see everybody.
The committee's trying to log on.
Okay, that's fine. Is everything going okay, Peggy? You guys need any assistance?
Hello, what was
Can you can Peggy calling or texting the PIN number to doing call in?
Hello?
Yes, whoa, this is Ramona.
Ready to transfer over now?
They switch over to the WebEx, so that's where they're at now.
这么辛苦。
Oh, yeah. I can't hear.